Hello, guitar class, Guitar 1. Hope everybody's safe and well, and this is the last in this series of 4 videos for Class 3. We could again say this is Class 3 and 4, but really following the series, it's video 4 of Class 3. So Class 3, video 4. And this is the introduction of what is a major scale and how to build a major scale. A supplement to the Mary Jo Disler book and our syllabus. And this is something that I do want you to know. You can see the course requirement here, that this is something that will show up on the midterms and finals later on. So we do want you to know the whole and half step pattern for every major scale. Good news is it's the same for every major scale, and it's based on whole and half steps as it says there. And the pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. This is something that repeats in every key or musical environment. And by that I mean whatever starting point you have, whatever letter name you have, if you follow this pattern above that letter name, you are going to get the sound of a major scale. We want you to be able to spell the C scale, the G scale, and the F scale. And I'm sorry, my G scale printed out a little bit darker there with a highlight on it of some kind. And we want you to be able to play these on your fretboard, and we're going to draw them in on the second page in just a moment. The C is going to be one time through, which is 1 octave, but we're going to find the G can be played twice through, and that the B can be played twice through as well, 2 octaves. And this indication of the little pound sign there is called a sharp, and a sharp raises the note 1/2 step, and a flat lowers a note 1/2 step. So when we say F sharp, that's exactly how we would write it, F sharp. When we say B flat, that's exactly how we would write it, B with like a little lowercase b, flat. That flat symbol is the same on every letter though. It stays looking like a little B flat, or lowercase b I should say, no matter what letter I put it on. So what these are key signatures. These are written at the beginning of a piece of music. If there's a sharp marked on the line of the highest F, then we would actually know we're in the key of G, because all the Fs would be sharped permanently throughout that piece of music. If there was a flat symbol written on the middle line, which is where we find the letter name B, then I know I'm in the key of F, and all of the Bs, high, low, middle, doesn't matter, would all be flatted, and that would give me the sound of this scale, the scale of F. So those are permanent changes. Temporary changes can be made to music too, and we call those accidentals, and that's when I write in a sharp or flat into a measure before the note head. So the sharp or flat's written before the note head, it affects, and then it's temporary. It's only good for that measure, but it's good for the whole measure. So if you put a sharp on an F and then another F follows it, that is still sharp until the end of the measure. So these scales that we're going to be doing are called major scales. A scale is a list of alphabetical list of letters used in a particular key, or I said a musical environment. A key center is what is really important, and that's the starting note of the scale, and that becomes the resolution or the relaxing point of the scale. It includes letter names with sharps and flats where needed to make the spacing fit whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's the reason we're using sharps and flats. The common scales are major, 3 types of minor scales, and the modes. So there's several variations of the scale, but we study the major scale first because it's used most frequently and because it is a model from which other scales are derived, and that's absolutely true. So we often use the major scale as a model, just like we talk about artists using primary colors. Before they start mixing colors, they need to know the primary colors. With us, we know the major scale, we know the sound of the major scale first, and then we alter it. So if I play a C major scale, So I just played those letter names, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then I play a C minor scale. Some of those notes will have been altered. I don't want you to know the pattern for a minor scale right now or how to spell C minor or anything of that nature. That will come once we have a good understanding of what a major scale is. And as you go forward, you can alter all sorts of different notes in a scale to create different modes. A mode is actually just another term for scale. If you looked it up in the musical Harvard Dictionary, it would say a mode is a scale, but there are specific references to different types of modes as well. So we've spelled the C scale, and it says when spelling other major scales, write the alphabet first without skipping any letters. So you would write out all the letters, then check the whole and half step connections. Where the letters do not fit the major scale formula, change the higher letter, and I'm going to demonstrate that as I do the scales on the other side. To raise a half step, put a sharp in. To lower a half step, put a flat in. So C is the only scale that fits whole step, half step between E and F, whole step from F to G, whole step from G to A, whole step from A to B, whole step from B to C. It's the only one that fits without any alterations. That is representative of the white keys on the piano. If I did a G scale, I would have to use one black key. Now on our guitar, we can't see the difference between a black and white key. That's why it's so important, again, that you memorize the natural scale in first position so you know where the spaces in between the whole steps are and you can name them accordingly. So the G scale is spelled here with an F sharp, and the F scale is spelled with a B flat, and I'm going to show you how we came up with those as I go through the next portion of the sheet here. So she suggests writing out all of the letters first, and this is a fretboard model of our guitar with the strings going from left to right. So it's not the model with the strings going vertically, but the strings are going from left to right. So this is the first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret. And I'm going to write the letters C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. And I'm going to check, is it a whole step between C and D? Yes. D and E? Yes. Half step between E and F. Whole step between F and G. Whole step between G and A. Whole step between A and B. And a half step between B and C. 2 whole steps, whole, half. 3 whole steps, whole, half. 2 whole steps, then a half step, 3 whole steps, then a half step. And my lowest C, if the strings are going this way, this is E, F, and G on the 6th string, A, B, and again, we're referring to that natural scale. There's my lowest C. Then I go right up the natural scale, no changes. D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, and that is my 1 octave C scale from the 5th string C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Practice them up and down, name the letters, and give them numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root. Root is the home. It's often called tonic as well, but root is a little more common. Root, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's our measuring stick. Our measuring tape is to use numbers like that. So you get used to what a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth sounds like, but you also get used to how to use them and add them to chords and melodies. So I'm kicking my camera here. All right, now again, I'm going to do what she did. I'm going to do the spelling of these last 2 scales 2 different ways. One is her way, G, A, B, and her, meaning Distler, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. She says write out all the letters and then just refer to the higher note, and if it's not correct, then make the change. So G is the starting note. G is the center of the key, the home of the key we're in. I'm looking at the higher note, and it is a whole step. So those 2 notes are in the key of G. I go up, and by again, confirming that that's a whole step, I know A is in the key. Now I look from A to B. That is a whole step. So I know those 3 letters are in the key of G. B to C is a half step. Those 4 letters all fit the pattern so far and are very closely related to C. This is as close as we can get. All the letters are the same so far. Then I need 3 whole steps in a row. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. So D is in the scale, E is in the scale. And here's what she's referring to when she says make the adjustment to the higher note. I figured out that D and E are both in the key. I looked at D and I said E is a whole step above D. That is fine. That is in the scale. Now if there needs to be a change, I have to look at the higher note, which in this case is F. And the F is going to get the sharp and will now be played a half a step higher. So whereas I would play F on the 1st fret before, now in the key of G, I am playing F on the 2nd fret. And then that creates a smaller space between F sharp and G. So I'm going to find my lowest G. Again, natural scale helps me here, E, F, G. And this F sharp would be in the key of G, so I wouldn't use that F. I'm using it as a reference point. But if I was going to play and sight read and the note F came up in this key, I would use this F. So I'm continuing up from G. G, A, B, all natural notes, C, D, E. Here's my new F sharp. Remember, the G would be here is equivalent to the middle G. So this G and this G are the same, and I'm not going any higher than the 4th fret in my first position. And I want to do a complete 2nd octave here because I have room to do it. Here's A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. And for those of you who know a D chord, in the Zoom meeting I asked, is the D chord in the key of G or in the key of C? And when you play the D chord, you're actually playing these 3 notes right here with the open D, and the D chord comes from the key of G. Here's the low G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. I'm playing that with my pinky, so 4th fret, 4th finger, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp with my middle finger, G, 3rd finger, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, B, B, C, B, A, G. Okay, now I'm going to do the F scale, but I'm going to do it in a slightly different way. I'm going to go 1 letter at a time. Okay, so this is another way you can build any scale you want. F to G. Is it a whole step? It is. Both of those notes are in the scale. G to A. Is it a whole step? It is. Both of those notes are in the scale. A to B. Well, I need a half step here, and that note is too far away. It's a whole step away, so I'm going to put a flat on it, and it will lower it a half a step. Now A and B flat are a half step apart, and there's a new space between B flat and C. So if we visualize the A string for a second, we have A, B, and C. Well, the B has now been moved to this fret. So between A and B, we have a half a step, A and B flat, B flat. And from B flat to C is a whole step. Okay, so I've got the whole step I need. C to D, I look and compare. Yes, so D is in the key. That's a whole step. D to E, I look and compare. That is a whole step again. That's in the key. And to finish the scale, E to F needs to be a half step, and it is. So if I fit the low F in, I've got a G, an A. Here's my new B flat. That'll be played with my 1st finger. 3rd finger plays C. Again, with my analog eraser there. D, E, and F. There's my 1st octave. G, A, and right next to A is B flat. Again, there's my B natural I can tune my B string with, but I don't have that in this scale, so I go right to C, D, E, and F. So one thing I was talking about to you guys is practicing these scales in rhythm. So this time I'm going to do whole notes, up the F scale and down the F scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, B flat 2, 3, 4, C 2, 3, 4, D 2, 3, 4, E 2, 3, 4, and to index, C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E, 2, 3, 4, and I would do the same thing going backwards, E, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, oh, sorry, that was D, third finger, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, B flat, third finger, A, 2, 3, 4, open G, reaching over third finger for F, E, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, B flat, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, and F, 2, 3, 4. So scale practice has so many different ways of helping us as a player. One is it's teaching us theory, and we're going to see that it gives us groups of notes that go together, but it's going to help us find chords and spell chords that go together as well. Another thing it does, and why we hear people practicing different instruments or with their voice warming up with scales, is that it teaches us these most used patterns and to get used to moving very freely up and down these patterns, these major scale patterns. This also is going to help us as guitar players because we need two hands to create a note. Unlike the piano, again, where we can just press a key and the note comes out, or playing a wind instrument where it is our embouchure, our mouth and our hand that create the note with a valve or a key in our mouth, creating the particular shape it needs to do a note. We have to have both hands coordinated here. And certainly every instrument has its own challenges that way. So when you practice scales on guitar, I really encourage you, once you know the patterns, to practice them in rhythm. I just did whole notes. You could do half notes. I'll do this on a C scale just to demonstrate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And you could do quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 2, 3, 4. E, 2, 3, 4. F. And playing both directions is very important, so you get used to playing the higher notes as you're going backwards on each string down to the open string, or the open string up and shortening the string as you're going up, ascending in pitch. So learn the scales, learn the three scales. We're going to start using these in our theory discussions, and we're going to open up some really good information for us as guitar players concerning scales. Have a great day, great night, great morning whenever you're looking at this. Stay safe, wash those hands, and we will talk to you soon.